Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's NinjaChris Silly History. I'm your host, NinjaChris, and my full name, obviously Chris. So, this is me on this whatever month we're on. April? Is it April? Yes, it's April. I never know where I am. Anyway, today we're on about board games and their history. So, I'm sure every one of you has played board games in your life. Some of you have probably spent many nights in playing board games when the weather's not exactly brilliant, or if you've been to a party or something with a few family members. Bit of after dinner entertainment, maybe? That's what it's become now, though, hasn't it? All the games that we play, all them board games that we play, so popular now. But if you look back into their history, you'll find out that they've come from somewhere very different. They had a different purpose back in them days, and they weren't always recreational. Actually, very rarely were they recreational. And we've got games dating back to like 10,000 BC, so that's about when the Ice Age just ended and people just were getting their feet back. Literally, they were trying to get back on their feet, trying to work things out. So they had stuff, they wanted to have something to do to essentially pass the time. So they invented stuff like dice games and stuff like that. But dice back then weren't like the cubes that we have now. They were, I'm not actually sure. We're not fully certain in the research area of what they may have looked like. Either way, it could have just been using two rocks or something and just having a different colour on each side, and then that's how they win the game or something. It very simplistic back then. Quite a lot of it you'd find the best ones. They probably didn't even know they'd won a game. Maybe it just, like I say, passed the time, and sometimes they got angry about it, and they didn't settle it by having another game. They just, I don't know, whatever they did, probably punched each other, the equivalent of just punching somebody in the face. Anyway, let's not do that, though. Some families do still consider doing that option if they don't win. I know I got a bit grumpy sometimes when I lost by like one square or something like that. I always got myself a bit annoyed or something like that. I'm sure any of you guys, when you've nearly won the game and then find out your friend has just pipped you at the post, don't tell me that never annoys you, because it annoys the living daylights out of me. But at the end of the game, at the end of the day, I realised it's fair game. They did what they had to do. It's a game. But again, back then it probably felt more like a war game, not the common war games that we have nowadays, which are theoretically board games. But I don't understand the modern idea of it. There's so many board games out there that have got names now that don't actually describe what's in the box. I mean, when we've got snakes and ladders, there's a clear finality to that. Okay, I'm not expecting the game of when you open the box of snakes and ladders, I'm not expecting actually snakes and ladders to actually fall out of the box, but you at least can see what the game is. But it's not just a picture of a program or something saying this is the game. But they've got to move on with the trends and stuff. But to be fair, I don't think board games are as big as they used to be. I think people probably prefer to pull out the PS5 or the Xbox, whatever number they're on now. I don't know. But they prefer to pull out the games consoles and stuff. You have board games, yeah, but I think people prefer to get a controller and beat up their friends online or something like that. Probably, I don't know what games you've got nowadays, but there's games that like mimic wars and stuff, and I don't see the point of it, to be fair. But hey, each their. I used to just love a good board game. Whenever I went round my nan's or something, when I was a kid, just used to love to get a game of Snakes and Ladders or Ludo, for that matter, because you just flip the board over and there's a game of Ludo as well. It was always a multi-purpose game, a game of Snakes and Ladders. Could you have a snake? You could have a ladder, whichever, or a Ludo as well. And them games, amazingly, came from an Indian sort of background, actually. So when you see a game of Snakes and Ladders, you've got something from India that was called a Moksha Param or Panam. I'm not sure. I can't read. Oh, man. Moksha Panam, which is the original version of Snakes and Ladders. So it's gone from, because at that time it was a religious game and there was more snakes than ladders. So it's basically saying if you can avoid all the snakes and then you're obviously okay with the gods. I think it was some Hindu situation. Quite a lot of the games were like that, about powers. They were essentially race games, but they were also to show your favor to your gods. So if you got through all the stakes and got to the end of the game, you were considered, God loves me. Yeah. So you probably find a lot of religion-based games back then. The original first official board game, though, was actually a game called Senet or Sene, however you pronounce it, because there's been many people who pronounced it differently, but Senet is easier to say, and that was about 3100 BC. I know I mentioned games about them, but it was more, the games before that was more, we'll just find it and have a game with it, really, and call it what it is. But now we have a game called Senet, and I believe we still play it today. It's a modernized version of what it is, but it's again a little bit like Snakes and Ladders. It's got except this one's got 30 places, and again, it was Egyptian, and it was more. So around that time, they were just starting the first old kingdom, the old kingdom of Egypt, and I think it was about the first pharaoh, Nama, who actually was politely playing that game during that time. So the old kingdom is mostly about building pyramids and stuff. But hey, they have to have a break sometime. They have to pass the time, So just whip out a game of Senet, pull them out, because there's a little drawer underneath as well with all your feet pieces and stuff, and then you play the game. We don't know the exact rules, so I think as a human race, we found it and we didn't know, so we kind of made it up. We kind of guessed what it might have meant, but yeah, it was about pleasing the gods, and if you manage to get through to the end of the game, the gods are very happy with you. And yes, so you'd find a lot of games mostly found over in Asia and areas, in Mesopotamia as well. It was obvious at that point they were all over there, but it was the Romans when they came in, and they decided they wanted a piece of the action, so they kind of adapted the games for themselves, and then they gradually work their way across over here, which is cool because we're still playing them today, but our own versions. But it's nice to know where these games came from. So these race games, and I suppose role-playing games, but I'm not sure they were playing roles back then. That was real to them. The games to them weren't fun. So, I mean, they've got games from China as well, which is the Far East in China. You've got Luibo, which was a short-lived game, but which kind of died out because the Chinese. It died out in like 220 AD because the Chinese had the game they called Go or Ouija was actually invented in 2000 BC, but the game Luibo was coexisting nicely, but then the game of Go got bigger and bigger, and now it's basic. That sort of game is more of a battle ready game. It's more of a how do you take your enemy out by surround. So basically, by taking, you've got one like white piece. If you surround it by all the black pieces, that white piece now disappears from the game. You have officially conquered that person. So it's essentially battle training as well. So yes, you can imagine that. They're playing a game, but they're getting ready for war as well. So yeah, it's amazing how they do it. Anyway, I want to take a drink for a moment. It's amazing what you do with board games, though, isn't it? Get out of the way. Sorry. I'm knocking things over. I do apologise. Anyway, let's say hello to our guest. Hello, Anna, Philly Mouse. You alright? Good to see you here. Yes, as I say, yeah, it's good for a rainy day. Everything like that. Hey, Terry, good to see you here. Hey, Mowley, always good to see you. Terry, Mowley, it's always wonderful to see you. The month has flown by, though. Even though I believe it's one of those 5 Saturday months, it still feels like it's flown by. Oh, funny thing, you're having wet days. It's blooming boiling out here. I've got my fan on and everything. I'm trying to keep myself cool here. So I'm going to. You can't win with the weather. Hey, Joanne, it's good to see you. Hopefully you're cooking nicely. Hopefully you've got your baking reports going on. It really is warm. It could just be warm because I'm full of energy and I'm really giving it the big one. Oh, fine. Oh, good. Scrabble, another favourite of mine. Yes, Scrabble is on the list, but Scrabble didn't actually come into circulation till about 1938. So people weren't exactly literate, I guess, back then. So a game of Scrabble will probably have just been, well, they didn't know the letters, I suppose. 8 months until Christmas? What? Really? Sheesh. Yeah. Blooming heck. We've got Halloween in between all that. Actually, hang on. Have we got others? We've got summer as well, somewhere. Well, it feels like it's already here for me. But anyway, oh, something for you guys over in America as well. You do have a game over in the Mesoamerican called Patoli. I'm not fully sure of what the game was like, but it sort of looked like a game of Ludo essentially. But I think you can still play it to this day. But it went through like the Aztecs and all. They all kind of modified it as they went along. So I don't know if you know too much about the game of Patoli. I don't know if I've never played it. I haven't heard of it, but it sounds interesting. If it's like a game of Ludo, then I'll go for it. quite cold here, Joanne. Well, you're in Scotland. It very rarely does it get warm there. I assume it does, but I've heard from people that it's quite cold all the time. But I'm not getting involved in that sort of debate. That's not my area. That's not what I'm talking about. Then we have a famous. We also then have the famous game of chess as well, which everybody knows. Not everybody knows how to play it. Me, I haven't got a clue. I got bored. I tried moving a few pieces, and I was like, oh, screw this. Give me a game of drafts or checkers. Fairly simple. It's the rules are fairly simple in checkers, and that even though the game of checkers has actually been around longer, a version of the game, because of checkers, there's a version that's called Alquerque. Forgive me. I don't know. That's a lot of Q's in that. A lot of Q's in that. Alquerque Q. Either way, that was basically an ancient version of drafts. Some of these bloody names go right over me. Sheesh. The wind is cold here, and the sun is not warm enough to heat all the cold air. Right, fair enough. So yeah, I figured it was going to be something like that you'd struggle with the weather, but I'm sure you get to enjoy some part. You get to enjoy the days, but I don't know whether I could get used to it if I lived in Scotland. To be fair, though, I don't know. The weather's so unpredictable down here in England as well. So what do? I can't win. Whatever weather we end up getting, it's always weird. You survive because you're a hardy Scot. Aye. That's right. You don't talk too much about Scottish weather, as one of their seasons is midge's season. Is that a bug or some kind? A midge? Is that some kind? I'm just guessing, but aren't they little buggers or something like that? They cause a little bit of naughtiness. They play their own little games with you. I don't know. These little things. Yes, it is a flying bug. Most annoying. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't perfectly sure. I didn't want to feel like a goof by saying, this is what it is, and then finding out it's a doorbell or something like that. That was just a random thought. I'm not suggesting that it's a doorbell. Though they do like to push your buttons. It sounds. Your midges are most ferocious in the world. They will eat you alive. Oh dear, Joanne. Keep it light. Please. That's okay. Well, that's very dramatic, but okay. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, well, I was gonna do chess, because actually it was the Indians who gave us the idea of chess as well. So they originally had a game called Chaturanga, which is a version of Indian chess, as I found, and it uses basically heads of different creatures and stuff, and they go over a squared board. I'm not sure how advanced it was in skill, or it was us at a later date who decided to add all the different moves. I mean, I may like to go and play a game of Chaturanga if it's easier, but I'm not that mentally sound at speed. Give me a few moments or so, and I might be able to puzzle things out. But I've noticed that with chess, you're on a clock, so you can't sit there pondering it for about 10 minutes. You've got to do it. You've got to make a move or something to do it. chess has never never really been on my radar for enjoyment idea. But yeah, because I forget which way things can move. I mean, I think it's the rook that just goes straight up and down the sides and stuff like that. But that's about it. And then pawn things. On the first go, you move them forward once, but then they can only move diagonally. Something like that. Please, forgive me. I am terrible. I tell you, I'm terrible. Wales has a bug season too. Oh, right. Why? This conversation is really bugging me right now. Midges are the most for yeah, the piranhas of the air. Yes, yeah, you're in agreement. Yes. Well, I'm not glad that they're piranhas in the air, but well, as long as you survive them, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. I'm always happy for you to come back and keep coming back and saying hello. Because I just love doing this with you guys. I love sharing what I may have researched, what I may have found out and stuff. I find it fun. And yeah, even though I'm no good at the game of chess, I can happily talk about it. And well, there's also something called Viking, uh, Nef Nefatafel, Nefatafel. It's the king's table or fist table. That's what Nefatafel stands for, and it's basically a Viking chess. So it's a Scandinavian sort of chess where it came over to them. And because around that time they were invading us in England. So they brought their Neffentafel with us. So this was what chess was to them. It was chess, but it wasn't chess at the same time, because you didn't just knock pieces off. It was a bit like the game of Go, really. You have to surround the thing, and then you take them off the board. You don't just run through them like you do in chess. You've got to get one either side, and it's all about attack. It's all about attack and defense, because it's not from one side of the board to the other side of the board. Because the defending team is more central. So, and then the ones attack from each side. There's a set there, there's a set there, set there for the attacking team. Again, this was made as a war practice, essentially, for the Vikings, because they like to raid and stuff. As we know, they like to pillage, they like to take things that probably shouldn't be theirs, but they'll have it anyway. It is what it is, but that's the way they are. But they had to practice somehow. It was a non-violent way to practice. Well, it wasn't a way of killing somebody anyway, though they may have done that later. But they've had hardy practice. When you were growing up, your brother played a game called Dark Tower. Is a 1981 electronic board game by Milton Bradley Company for 1 to 4 players. Oh, Milton Bradley! I remember reading about him. I know he did something good. I don't remember if it was. I don't remember reading the game Dark Tower, but I know that Milton Bradley name. I know he did something. If you can help me out with that one. The object of the game is to amass an army, collect the 3 keys to the tower, and defeat the evil within. I don't know why I'm reading it like some sort of narrator. And the evil within. Like I'm doing Shakespeare or something without the Shakespearean language. It was a precursor to future electronic games. Oh well, thanks, Joanne, for not being alone in the matter, because I ain't got a clue. I was worried that everybody had, because I'm a fear of that, because everybody knows a lot about games that I don't. I probably have glossed over because I was looking at so many different names of games, and when I got to the modern era, I kind of like, what is this game? What I mean, the game name doesn't really give me any clues to what the game's about. I know there's some other games that don't do, but I suppose it's because I've grown up in the 90s. I'm used to the old manual style games. I don't really know too much about the video gaming. I can't get my head around video games and stuff. I tried it, and I tried it with the PS4. I just couldn't get to grips with that sort of thing. But put me a game, put a nice game of something like that in front of me, and I'm good. Something like Snakes and Ladders or Ludo. Sorry, now that's a game that I enjoy. Doesn't require a dice, which I always found weird. It just required you to pick a card, and that's where you go from there. But it's also a bit of a clever strategy and tactic. So it gets me thinking, where should I put that one? Where should I put that one after the sorry card comes out? Should I be an evil person, or should I just call it gameplay? Yeah, sometimes that's how it works. But yeah, no. I mean, a lot of people, obviously, you all know the game of Monopoly as well, which Monopoly became a big thing in 1935. Well, it became a thing in 1935, but it wasn't because somebody just thought that, because it had evolved from another game. It was originally called the Landlord's Game, which in 1903, which inspired the game of Monopoly. It was all about money and the fact of the culture at that time, where property was being. It was essentially about the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, that sort of thing. So it adapted, and then in 1935, we then had Monopoly, and now we've adapted the game of Monopoly, and now we have many different styles of Monopoly. So yeah, it was not as well known. This is the Dark Tower. It was not as well known as the more popular Sorry, Uno, etc. I am that old, growing up in the late 1960s into the 1980s. Oh, don't put yourself down, Anna. You've got some more knowledge that I don't have. I quite welcome it, actually, because you can give me a heads up on some of the stuff that I may have missed, please. I like the sound of cat Monopoly. Maybe there is. Actually, I found a quite disturbing game that apparently came out in 2015, and apparently this is a board game. I think it was called Exploding Cats. Apparently, that's a board game. I wasn't too pleased when I heard that name, in all honesty. But it's one of those modern named games where it doesn't. Oh, I'm hoping that the box doesn't actually involve its exploding cats, because that's just not right. That's not right at all. I remember the tennis type game on this. Yeah, Mr. A definitely loves gaming over there. Yes, he does. Video games were just starting out in the 80s with Pac-Man. Oh, I used to play around. I sort of played Plaque. No, well, he does need to brush his teeth, I guess. He's been chomping all these years. But Pac-Man, sheesh. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe he does need to brush his teeth. Why not? A tennis type game was tennis. Oh, there's that one where you just slide a bar up and it bats to each other. I think I may have seen it through movies or something like that. There's no tennis player. It's just a line you move up and down on each side, and you just whack it, and it's just a dot that goes back and forth. And if you miss it, it just goes. Well, it's classed as a miss, and the other person gets a point, I guess. Joanne, only game on screen I remember is Jumping Jack. Jumping Jack. I don't know that one. You thought you said monogamy. No. Exploding Cats is not a good game. That's right. Right. Okay, you're on about the tennis game now. I think I'm getting a bit muddled. Oh, so Joanne, you've actually played the Exploding Cats game. So it is actually a real game. I wasn't sure. I think I watched a clip of somebody going through the games, but he was going through a list of games. And some of them I thought, these can't be real games. Because there's one called Rook, is it? And there's a lot of new games out there, and it's like, what? Tell you one that looked quite interesting was a game called Ticket to Ride, which is basically a train game. You build your train and or something, you travel. It's like a strategy game, I think, or something. I don't know if we'll fill in the gaps, but apparently there's a lot of stuff like that. Train. And you've got Euro games as well, which is basically a German type board game, which is also requiring a strategy and an economic competition, essentially. So you're not really fighting each other. You're more just doing your own game, really. And then when the game ends, you just count up at how well you've done, and then the game's done. You've not actually had a competition with anybody, but that's what modern sort of games are like now. You more play along with each other rather than against each other. Obviously, somebody will win at the end. It's just, yeah. And one of the first of these Euro games was called the Settlers of Catan, which was about 1995, which was about the time when they call it the Renaissance of board games. That was when you've not played Exploding Cats. I would love to play a train game. I don't know, I've not seen it. I just saw it on again, it was just a video that I saw saying this game exists. But it looks like kind of like a building game of such. You just put things together. I don't know if you roll a dice or stuff. You may have to roll a dice. I think that's mostly what it includes. A lot of things require rolling a dice, except these ones were actually a proper four-sided dice with your numbers 1 to 6 on it. But yeah, you used to like playing drafts. Yeah, it's a nice game. It's a nice game to play. Drafts, it's good. So yeah. I remember shame I didn't find the name of that train game for a couple of months ago when I was doing my topic on trains. I could have said, oh, there's a topic on where you can build your train set and build how far you go. There's also games where you connect things together as well. It's almost like you're building your own city. You've got these detective style games as well. The thing with games now, I feel you have to read it takes longer to read the instructions than it does to actually play the game in question, which I don't personally go along with too much, but hey, if the guys are making money from it, then I can't really stop them, can I? But anyway, Mauerleaf, find the cats is a way to use a few minutes. Yeah, well, I'm sure Mr. A's playing find the cats, find the cats all the time, trying to work out where they've all gone off to. As is. Hope you've all had a good month anyway. This past month. Hope it's all been good for you and you've all enjoyed yourself. You've all kept yourself busy because I've been getting around with doing my church things and stuff, and it's keeping me occupied. Had an all-in service last Sunday. She's nice and good. I got a men's social that happens on a Wednesdays now that I've told some of you guys about. Some of you watching may already know about it. But there's the guy who leads it, a guy called Colin, who occasionally brings in a game for us to play. And I think the last game he brought in was a game called Clask, which is a Danish sort of game originally, which was about 2013 was when it first came out, and apparently the word clask means slap. So, and it's interesting because it's like air hockey in a way where instead of you using the slider thing, you've got a magnet underneath. But air hockey isn't a board game. But Clask is considered one because it's you can pick it up and move it, so it's not in a set location and stuff. But the fact that the game of Clask is actually called Slap. You just looked up Exploding, which is the name of the game. It is not bad at all. It is a card game where you have to draw a diffuse card to defuse a kitten with an explosive device. Oh, right. So you save the kitten then. Okay, right. I don't know. No kittens are harmed while playing it. Good to know. I'm so glad to hear that. It's been Mowley. It's been a quiet month. You had a birthday last week. Oh, happy birthday. I think I saw that, didn't I? Did I give you a happy birthday? Anyway, happy birthday again. Have a double happy birthday. Because I'm not sure. I try to say happy birthday to people, but I'm sorry if I forget. It's something. I believe popcorn doesn't have a duty yet. All right. You are correct. Yes, popcorn still needs an adopter. And people who are watching this back, Popcorn is a cat in the Kitten Academy. Before you start wondering why I'm adopting Popcorn. It's not a new game, though I don't know. There may be a game called Popcorn out there. I haven't seen it yet, but maybe I'm giving somebody an idea. You get around a board, you push a button, and then you get popcorn. You've got loads of beans in the middle, and then pop, 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 pop. You end up having, well, you have your movie snack. You don't understand why nobody's taken pop. She's such a lovely girl. She seems well behaved, and I think she gets along nicely with the faculty. As far as I know, anyway, I haven't seen anything wrong. I assume everything's all good in order. But it means we get to see her run around the academy for a bit longer, I suppose. It's a double-edged sword with kittens. When they're getting adopted, you get attached to them, and you feel a bit sad when they have to leave. But I'm sure if Mr. A kept all the kittens, he wouldn't be able to move. It would be like the tribbles from that Star Trek episode where they kept reproducing. He wouldn't be able to move. I don't know. Is that right? Well, if anybody's seen Star Trek, are they tribbles? Them little fluffy ball things. When you see again, there's loads of them, and they practically fill out the spaceship or something. I remember seeing something like that. I think hay fever. Does hay fever get to you guys as well? You agree, Mo? I think she would be perfect for a family with children, as she is so high energies and a foodies. Oh, I guess she loves her food. Trouble with Trouble with Tribbles is a classic Star Trek episode. Mummy egg, you give me a tongue twister there. Troubles with Tribbles. Her doctors will need locks on the food cupboard. I guess so. I guess very cat-like. That most cats just I feel like they've got a bottomless stomach. They eat, but then they're able to eat again, and then continue eating until they don't eat anymore. But anyway, I was mentioning the fact that I do this men's social on a Wednesday around 1 o'clock. He brought in the game of Clask, but he also, before that, he brought in a game of something called Carom, which I thought was pretty cool because it's basically an Indian version of pool, which I thought was actually quite fun. It was a flicking game, or do that, but you've got to stay in your section, and there's 4 pockets in each. And I thought it was cool. It's cool, but it's not as easy to pot as on a pool table. But it's a really fun game to play, and you play as a partnership with the person across from you. That's your partnership, and the same for the other two. They've got a partnership, and yeah, very interesting game to play. There's also another interesting game that I found out, which was, well, to me, it looks a bit silly now, but I realise it's one of the first games that actually probably led to having games like Snakes and Ladders and stuff like that in Britain over Europe. It was called The Game of the Goose, which was started playing in around the 15th century, 16th century, around that time. And it was basically the board was actually wrapped around a goose, essentially. You basically started at 1, went round, and then eventually got to the center, where it's got 63 spaces, but a bit like how Snakes and Ladders works, you've got an occasional hiccup. If you hit one of those areas, you could either lose a turn, or you could jail yourself, or even kill yourself, which is it doesn't mean what it means. It just means you have to start from the start again. So it seems like a very interesting game, but we have a lot of games like that are numbered nowadays, so it's just one of the many, but it's really one that I think started it off. You know, Ludo, it's, about Ludo itself. I mentioned that earlier, being on the opposite side of a snakes and ladders board. But there's an Indian version where originally the idea of Ludo came from, which is called Parcheesi, which is like a cross-shaped thing without the bits on that you've got now, with like the home bases that you've got. It was just looked like it as just a map that was the shape of a cross, and the game, well, it literally works the same way as it does now, but just is more square now. It just on the pictures it's more of a cross shaped, but that's basically an Indian version of Ludo, or that's how we came to have Ludo. Anyway, the postal system is slower than usual. Where are we? You said in poems, are you again? Oh, sorry, I missed your poem, but I'm sure it was brilliant. Yeah, I suppose we always have trouble with the postal service around here, even though I feel, because I know a few postmen from church, and they are really struggling to. They can't. They've got such a quota and a demand to do. It's hard for them. They work day in, day out trying to do it, and they try and take as many shortcuts as they can. I mean, delivering parcels is like a bit of a board game, I think, for some of them. All they want to do is hit home base before they even really get started. They literally are on the hit and run tactic now. They ring the doorbell, drop the stuff on the doorstep, and by the time we get to the door and picking up the package, they're already in the car and gone. It's like, okay, fine. Hello. So we've got a package, haven't we? We better take it in. And I don't like the fact that they leave it on the doorstep as well. I mean, what if I've got something in there that I really don't want people to steal? Yeah. Can't win with the post. The postal service makes you go postal. Literally, I suppose. But hey ho, we gotta do it. So, we got Roman games as well, like Ludus Deusum Scriptium, which was basically an early version of backgammon. Now, I saw the game of backgammon and how it was laid, and I gotta say, it looks confusing from the outset. But because I've never actually played the game, I don't fully understand too much. But I'm sure it's fairly simple once you get to know how. But the game of backgammon didn't really come into flow until the 1600s, 17th century ish. I got about 1635 when it first started becoming, what was it, say 17th century, around that time, where it actually became backgammon, and we got it over here in the UK. But again, it was developed from a Roman sort of game, which I find very interesting, because a lot of games that we have are either from Asia, or, well, they probably had the Romans adapt the Asian games, and now we've ended up with these games as well. Say the first actual game that came into the modern age of Europe from area for me was in the 1800s in UK, was called The Mansion of Happiness, which was inspired by the game of the goose, because that had numbers. So it was the first one that really sparked things off, I suppose. It didn't get to the US until 1843, I'm afraid. So you got there. You got it eventually. But I suppose we were going through a lot of stuff during that time frame, because I think we were with it. We were in between Georges at that point, because I think we had George the Third on the throne, and he was having a bit of a battle over there in America, because we were still having a battle at the lands and stuff. We still wanted bits. They still wanted. Well, you guys still wanted yours, but I'm glad everything got sorted out. We're all friends now, and I like that. He's still on. You Owly used to play backgammon, but you nearly got the hang of it. Yeah, I always, whenever I saw the backgammon game, it looks very intimidating at how it looks on the board. I just so it just never appealed to me. I prefer the simple games. Well, it's fair enough. Anna, Philly Mouth. I know it is early in the year, but I'm already planning when I am going to send out my Christmas cards this year due to last year's long delays, especially those sent overseas. Yeah, they did. Yeah, because, well, Sam, because he goes to India for his family and that. I know, and if Sam, you're watching this, then yeah, because he goes to India for Christmas, and yeah, I had to give him his Christmas card when he got back in January, which I felt was a bit weird, but he was. He was always very grateful though, because he's grateful for thing that you've the gesture you've given the time to send something. Everybody is most grateful for it, but we can't. None of us seem to be happy with how the postal service works. Used to play pin the tail on the donkey. Yeah, I've never actually played that. I know it's a kids' party game and everything. I've never really. It's like I've never played the pinata as well, where you smack the living daylights out of a stick and get loads of out of a paper horse or whatever, and you just get loads of sweets. A bit of a battle with the American colonies. Yeah, I know. It's just a little issue. Yeah, yeah. Why the overseas cards will go? Yeah. Well, we're all grateful for what you do, and I'm grateful for the card when it. So, not long till Charles and Camilla visit the White House. A little skirmish. Eh, well, we'll get to talk. We'll get to talking about Philadelphia in a couple of months, I think, because I believe it's Philadelphia is having a big year this year. But we'll get to that in a few months' time. They arrive on Monday. Should be quite an adventure for them. Oh yeah, I never heard about that, but I try and steer clear of the news and stuff like that because I feel that sort of thing rots your brain nowadays. It's not good to watch the news. It's all it's bad, poisonous, poison your mind, all that sort of thing. It's like I don't want to know all this. But I'm hoping that Charles can maybe talk some sense into Donald Trump. Not getting into a political battle here, though, but I'm only going off what things that I've heard. That things are getting a little out of hand, maybe, to say the least. Yeah, Philadelphia is celebrating a rather big birthday. Something about 250 years of independence from the motherland. Yeah, well done. Well done. It's always good to have independence. which is hard to go sometimes, though. I mean, I know. But we had a bit of America for a time. We had those 13 colonies. But yeah, you wanted the I'm quite happy with what has transpired because now we're all friends, but you're also independent as well, which is great. The Brexit of 1776. Okay, fair enough, yes. Well, the Declaration, we had the founding fathers and everything. They all joined together and started working on a plan, it didn't really stop the idea of a war, though, did it? You had the American, we had the American Revolutionary War still, but everything was sorted out in the end. But anyway, blooming heck, is it nearly 50? Got 50, about 56 minutes yet already. Blooming hell, time's flown by. I hope everybody's enjoyed themselves tonight. Hope everybody's enjoyed playing little board games and learnt something. Maybe I've inspired somebody to go in their loft and find out an old board game and dust it off. Maybe play a game of Sorry, play a game of Ludo, play some Monopoly if you've got 5 hours. I used to love that, but when we used to play as a family, we used to make sure we had a long time gap between because, well, it's a long game. It's a long game to play. And whenever we played the original London version, I always wanted to be the motor car. I always wanted to be the car. Though I did used to like play. Then we got the Lord of the Rings version, which was really cool. And I used to like to play as Aragon, the the future king of Gondor. Yes, I am a king, or at least I would have been. But I had a big sword. I had a big sword to play around with, and then yeah, went along with it. What is the topic for next month? Oh, we're doing Accra in Ghana. That was my topic choice for next month because I've got friends from Ghana at church, so I thought I'd pick somewhere in Ghana, and I got a friend, and Accra is apparently the capital of Ghana, so I thought I'll do a bit of digging into a bit of Ghanaian history and see where it where it comes, where it goes. Come, go. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. Are we any of us? But yeah, great. It's nearly time for a cup of Yorkshire tea, is it, Joanne? Yeah. Yeah, Mal, it's always great. It's always great to be in touch. I love you guys. You guys are wonderful for coming and showing up. It's just like a nice little meeting together. We're just having a nice chat, and we're just having a nice chat about board games today, and whatever is on your mind as well. I'm a, I'm a freelancer really. I have my topic. I do my opening bit. But then after that, I'll leave you guys to it and we'll just chat about anything. Just as long as you let me say my bit. But you can always have a chat. I just like it when you listen as well. You might learn something. If you've learned something, that's great. Could you please do a show on gemstones? I'm not sure. I have to work out how to work that one out. I might work on something with it. I'm not quite sure how to label that because I don't know. Is it like jewels or something like that? Maybe, maybe in the future once I work out how to do the topic, because I like to try and find a way of broadening the topic, but not making it too broad. Oh, that absolutely gemstones. Absolutely. Well, if I could, I'll maybe work out. You agree about the gemstone? Gemstones would sparkle. As well as what happened here? We're all talking about gemstones now. I haven't got any gemstones with me. So essentially, I'd just be talking about them. And they do still exist today, I believe. So, yeah. There's a lot of quartz stones here. I've got some huge rocks in my garden. Is it weird? I mean, I could do a history on stones and then include all the other stuff as well, because to get a gemstone, I guess you. Suppose maybe I could do jewels or something like that. The history of jewels. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it in the future. It's one of those that sounds very good to do, but I'll have to see if I can find stuff out about it. See if the history will take me long enough to do an hour. Speaking of an hour, I should probably say goodbye to you all. And I thank you all for showing up. And I hope you show up. Sparkling jewels. Yes. Okay, we'll go with jewels then in the future. But thank you, everybody. It's been amazing to talk to you again. And I hope you join me next week. Next week? No, next month. Well, as we travel to Ghana and we go to Accra. And we go and see what happened in Africa millions and millions of years ago. And I will see you then. Thank you. You are all wonderful people. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great time. And I'll go to church tomorrow. You've probably got football games to watch and stuff like that. So goodbye. Bye, 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 bye.